So just bear with me. John's got to turn on one of them is Instagram, I think, is weird. You have to stream it separately. Everybody else streams on one camera except Instagram, and I don't know why, but that's John's job. He does the magic there. And so once he gets that all set up, we'll get going. Please tell your friends we're ready to go. Welcome. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. You're on our podcast. And it's an amazing opportunity. The way we do this is really unique because this is an opportunity for you to ask any health questions you might have. And now most podcasts you can ask, maybe interact, maybe not, but I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. In that 24 minutes, formulate your health questions. And at the break, John, my producer, is going to read me the questions. Then I'm going to do another 24 minutes of content, and then you're going to ask me more questions if you have any. So please share this with your entire contact list. As you know, every show we do changes people's lives, and we've been doing it I've been lecturing for 40 years now, and I don't think we've ever done a lecture or show that didn't dramatically change people's lives. So I'm glad you're here. So I'm ready to go whenever you are, John. Okay, here we go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. We're going to talk today about nutritional deficiencies. Maybe you have a nutritional deficiency and you don't know it. Now, we can do tests on you. We can do things like a Dutch test. We can do a micronutrient test. We can do a hair analysis. And we charge for that, of course. But I'm going to give you ideas to look for things if you have deficiencies by looking at your symptoms. Symptoms many times correlate to issues. And so if you have these symptoms, we can then kind of go in that direction. When I train new doctors, and I train a lot of new doctors from all over the world, when I train new doctors, I always say we are investigators. We have a bunch of information. We have to piece it together like a puzzle and say, what's it going to be? Because one symptom by itself really isn't that big a deal. But when we see a multiple of symptoms and we start seeing a pattern happening, then we can say, okay, you know what? We've got something wrong. So nutritional deficiencies can lead to a lot of health issues. And many times we try treating the health issue when all it is a simple supplement that may cost pennies a day. And I talk about vitamin D. I'm going to talk about that today. Vitamin D is probably the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy. I had one of my somebody I work with, in my health world. She works for one of the doctors, and we were talking, and she's taking a B complex. And I said, well, is it methylated? And she didn't know what that was, so I explained it to her. And I gave her some samples of ours. And like 3 days later, she sent me an email. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. She goes, I've been taking B-complex forever. I've seen no changes. I've took this for 3 days, and I see changes already. And we're going to talk about B vitamin deficiencies as well. And then same thing with a protein powder. Somebody else was saying, well, I'm taking this protein powder. It's supposed to be designed by a dietitian, and it's supposed to be great and had artificial sweetener in it, artificial flavors in it, and autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable proteins. It was just a mess. And I said, don't do that, do this. So a little knowledge not dangerous, but a little knowledge may not always answer your question. So let's start out with the big one that most people talk about is iron deficiencies. Now, iron deficiencies, some of the symptoms would be fatigue, weakness, you're pale. There's somebody I work with that's very, very pale, and I don't know how to approach him because it's pretty clear he's iron deficient. It's very rare for men to be iron deficient, actually, but he's got something going on, probably liver issue. Shortness of breath, dizziness, brittle nails. I get that question a lot. Dr. Joe, my nails are real brittle. They break real easily. Many times it's an iron deficiency. So the key with iron here is too little is better. Too little is bad. Too much is worse. So too much iron can be dangerous. That's why I say as a general statement, men and postmenopausal women should donate blood if they can. Now, sometimes maybe you've had surgery, maybe you've had a thyroid removed, and you can't donate blood. I understand that. But if you can, I recommend you do. Because too much iron in the blood, essentially it rusts. And it can cause real serious damage to the blood vessels in the heart. And this is one of the theories as why men have heart. Now women are catching up to us, but why men have heart attacks more than women. Especially at a younger age, because we're oxidizing. And so we want to see if you do have, if you can donate blood, I donate blood every 6 or 8 weeks, every chance I can. And there's no benefit to me except, hey, I'm happy I'm giving healthy blood to somebody who needs it, but also it's helping me from a health standpoint, reducing my iron levels. And every time they test my iron, I'm fine. Now, I don't eat animal products. And so people, oh, well, you're going to be anemic. You don't eat animal products. There's plenty of iron in plant-based products, so don't worry about that. There's 2 types of iron. There's heme and non-heme. Heme comes from blood, like a hematologist. Non-heme doesn't come from blood. Where would it come from? Plants. Anything that's red or green, pretty much in a plant world, is going I shouldn't say everything. Maybe there's something out there I don't know about. But red and green usually means high content in iron. And I eat a lot of red and green foods. So my iron levels are perfectly fine. So if you can donate blood, do. It's a really good idea. I always feel good when I donate blood, too. I don't know. I get like rush of energy, and I don't know if it's just I feel good because I did something good for the world, and there's no way I could have, no one ever knows I did it, or is it that I'm actually cleaning out my body? I think it's because I'm cleaning out my body, and it really helps keep you younger. So donate blood when you can. So what are some sources of iron? Well, we know about meats. Well, I'm not a big fan of meat, the heme iron. So what else could it be? How about lentils, chickpeas, tofu, pumpkin seeds, spinach? And the thing is with non-heme iron, plant-based iron, it has to have vitamin C with it in order to be absorbed. Heme iron doesn't need the vitamin C. But if you're eating a plant-based diet, you're getting plenty of vitamin C. Nature kind of balanced that out for you already. So you're in good shape there. A way you can test for iron deficiency, go donate blood. Because when you donate blood, by the way, there's a benefit to this. They actually test you. And one of the things they do right away is they test your iron levels. So you'll know right away if you're low or high. It's kind of nice. It's also a good way to test, and a friend of mine used to do this. She was a nurse, and if she started dating someone and she thought it might go to another level, she would ask a simple question. Do you donate blood? And if the answer is yes, well, they scan for certain diseases. Not everything, but for certain diseases. And if it comes back positive, you can't donate blood anymore. So it's just a very cursory screening if you're going to start being involved with people, because there's a lot of cooties out there. And so you want to be careful with that. Again, it doesn't screen for everything, but it's just kind of a general screen there. But donating blood is a great idea. And if you squeeze your fingernail and let go, it should turn red pretty quickly. If you squeeze your fingernail and it stays white for a long time, probably 10, 15 seconds or so, that's a sign you might have low iron or anemia. So these are just little things you can test. You could look for the weakness, the fatigue, the shortness of breath, the dizziness, the brittle nails, but that little squeeze test is a nice little test as well. On your hands, as we go off topic for a second, if you pinch the skin on your hand behind it and let go, it should spring back pretty quickly. If you pinch the skin and hold it there, it could be a sign of dehydration if it stays there after you let go of it. So that's just another sign. A lot of us are dehydrated because when you're young, you have a part of your brain that controls hunger and a part of your brain that controls thirst when you're a baby. As you start to become a toddler, those two parts of the brain grow together. So you have a real tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. So many times when I do my weight loss classes, I teach people many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So drink a big glass of water before every meal. You'll eat less probably. But it's also just another way to tell if you start getting dehydrated. Because if you start getting thirsty, it's advanced dehydration. We want to get it early. And that's why you want to drink a lot of water every day. Good, pure, filtered water. All right, so if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about nutrient deficiencies, signs and symptoms, and then what to do to correct them. Real simple, easy ones. Now, you can take an iron supplement, and sometimes even doctors will prescribe iron supplements. A lot of iron supplements cause constipation. That's why I recommend a good plant-based iron supplement. So if you need an iron supplement, let me know. Super Greens and Essential Source, by the way, are two of my favorite supplements. They're powders, and they're made with greens, so they have iron in them as well. But you may need a little boost. If you do, just send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and I can refer you to other companies, not my companies, but other companies that I trust that do good work. So I'd like to say our supplements are the only good ones on the market. They're the best, in my opinion. But there's other supplement companies as well. So if you have questions, just let me know. And that's the beauty about the website. You could always send me questions at drjoe.com. All right, let's talk about vitamin D. Got to jump in there. You know, it's one of my favorite supplements. Bone pain, bone fractures, muscle weakness, fatigue, depression, impaired wound healing. Cut yourself, you're just not healing properly. Now, there's two types of vitamin D. Well, several, but there's vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. Vitamin D2 you can get from things like mushrooms. You're not going to get a lot of it, though. But many times a doctor will say, you're low in vitamin D, I'm going to give you a prescription. And I want you to take 50,000 international units once a week of vitamin D2. Well, there's a couple of things I'm not thrilled with about that. Number one, vitamin D2 has to be converted into vitamin D3, so you have to be healthy enough to do the conversion. Many people aren't. And number two, taking that much, you may not absorb it very well. Okay, so I'd rather you take it spread out over time, and you're going to get a better bang for your buck. And usually the supplements are cheaper. So there's a lot of benefits to taking the supplement. But the biggest concern I have when people take prescription vitamin D is that it doesn't have vitamin K2 with it. Because one of the many things vitamin D does, and it does a lot of things, it's actually a hormone, not even a vitamin, it's a hormone, but it helps you absorb calcium and bring it into your blood system. Vitamin K2 takes it from the blood system and puts it into the bones. So if you're taking vitamin D, 2 or 3, without K2, and you don't have a really healthy digestive system, which you can make K2 in your colon, I would recommend you take a vitamin D3 supplement with K2. That's the one I take every day. And it's interesting, we have it in liquid form. And one of my patients, we'll call her Christy, she has an autoimmune disease. And her body, she could never get her vitamin D levels up above like 20. And I like it to be between 60 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. She was around 20. So she started taking our supplement, and she went and got a blood tested, and it was over 100, 102. And she said, is that too much? And the doctor said, no, you're okay. Right around 100 is fine, and I'm okay with that too. But 60 to 80 is perfect. So it's quality that makes a difference. Now, here's a woman, compromised autoimmune condition. Her immune system relies a lot on vitamin D, and she was taking supplements that weren't working. You've heard me talk about my German grandfather, and he always said, always buy the best. It's always cheaper. Because it works. Doesn't matter what you take it if it doesn't work. So ours is a liquid, vitamin D3 with K2. I recommend for the average person 10 drops a day. I have a friend of mine out in California, Johnny, and he's going to a holistic doctor. He's got a very weird blood tumor in his spine. Very, very strange. And he eats right, and he gets chiropractic care, and he's a vegan, and he gets colonics, but it's a genetic issue. And so the doctor said, we have to get your vitamin D levels up. He said, okay. He says, I want you taking 100,000 IUs for a couple of weeks. So IUs are international units. So you can take a lot and not have to worry about toxicity. You have to take a lot of vitamin D for a long time to worry about toxicity. So D3 with K2, I like the liquid version. The D2, again, it's synthetic. 10 drops a day is what I take. What I do is I take about a dropper full. I don't measure it exactly. And I take a dropper full, and I just squirt it into my Super Greens and Essential Source, and I shake it up, and I drink that first thing in the morning. So everybody, I think, should be taking Super Greens and Essential Source, because Essential Source is a multivitamin, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes. Super Greens, chlorella and spirulina to detoxify the liver. Iodine, which so many of us are deficient in. It has wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass. I know it's wheatgrass. I know I say not to eat wheat, but it's an organic wheatgrass. And the problem with wheat is when it's sprayed with chemicals, which this one isn't, and also when it creates the wheat berry. The wheat berry, which we make flour out of, is when you start producing the gluten. So I can't legally, technically say it's gluten-free, but I've never had anyone with gluten intolerance ever have a problem with it. So Super Green, Essential Source, and vitamin D. Take some coconut milk, almond milk, water. I used water today because I was out of plant milk. Shook it up, drink it. It's a great way to start your day. But I do recommend you take those D supplements. Now, you can get it from sunlight exposure, and that's really the best way to get it. But how many of us are out in the sun exposing most of our bodies for 20 to 30 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days a week? I'm not, okay? Maybe if you work in construction, maybe if you're a landscaper, maybe then. So how do you know you've had enough sun? You touch your skin, and if it feels warm, that's enough. You can stop. Just that simple. Maybe it turns a little pink. If you're darker skinned, it's probably going to take a little longer. But stop after that. And you can get out of the sun. Cover up. If you've ever been to the Caribbean, and that's something I can relate to because I've been there several times, you'll notice the natives aren't putting on sunscreen. What do? Big floppy hats, big floppy shirts, big floppy pants. That's how they protect themselves from the sun. You should follow their guide. Because sunscreen, most sunscreens on the market are very toxic. If you're going to use a sunscreen, zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, that's it. Those are the only two sunscreens. That should be the main ingredient. When you put it on, it creates a little white coating. That's a good sunscreen. It's not as fun as the spray-ons that you don't have to worry about leaving a white coating on. No, those are the dangerous ones. Zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, very light white coating, perfect. And really get out of the sun. If I go to the beach, I love being out in the sun and I love playing in the water, but I always wear a rash guard, which is a long sleeve shirt, my bathing suit, wear a hat whenever I can because I don't have as much hair on my head as I used to, so I could burn my scalp. And I sit under an umbrella. So I have the sunscreen if I'm out in the water or walking the beach, but then I sit under the umbrella every chance I can. So these are just things you can do. So You can do fortified foods with vitamin D, like milks, like plant-based milk even, but usually it's vitamin D2, which isn't my favorite. Mushrooms, shiitake and maitake have some vitamin D in it, but you have to eat a lot of mushrooms to get any vitamin D from it. And then, of course, things like fortified orange juice, well, that would be vitamin D2 again. So that's why I'm not such a big fan of that. So we talked about pain, and I mentioned that when I was talking about vitamin D, joint pain, muscle pain. That could cause pain. But the number one cause of pain is pinched nerves. When the bones move out of place, discs swell, facets in the bones jam together. That's the number one cause of pain. And the nice part is that there's a very inexpensive, very effective, low-risk, high-reward treatment when it comes to pain management, and that's chiropractic care. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for pain, for back pain specifically. Now, it doesn't help everyone, but a major majority of people do. And the biggest complaint we get in our office is, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer for so long when all I had to do was get some chiropractic care? So if you have pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, radiating pain, sciatica, numbness, shoulder, come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, and I want to be your doctor. Normally, the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Why would we do that? We do that because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Is it care in our office? Is it orthopedic work? Is it neurological? I don't know. Let's find out, and I can't do that unless I evaluate you. So go to my website right now, drjoe.com, make an appointment. We book up pretty quickly, so you want to book your appointments as soon as possible. We can get you in pretty quickly. We have, we have a very good schedule, but we do book up. So drjoe.com. We accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We're even on the Veterans Administration referral list. Let's get to the cause of your health care problems and not just treat the symptoms. And what makes us different is we, of course, do regular chiropractic, and my doctors are really good. But we also do nutrition evaluations on every patient. We do stomach adjustments. We can work on the stomach and the colon because maybe there's something wrong with your digestive system. Maybe you have heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. Let's see what we can do to get the whole body tuned up, not just the spine or not just supplements. Let's do the whole package. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, drjoe.com. I want to talk about vitamin B12 now. And that's mostly found in animal products. So this leaves a quandary for me. I eat a plant-based diet. So where do I get my B12? That's one of the things I recommend everyone supplement in. Because if you're eating even if you're eating meat, if you're eating junk meat, it may not have the B12 in it anyway. So you can do fortified milks. You can do fortified cereals. I'm not a big fan of cereals. Seaweed. Seaweed does have some B12 in it, but it's not really, it doesn't really convert well over. It has some in there, but it's not really the best source. But B12 supplements are really going to be the best. Now, I said earlier that I had my coworker's assistant, and she was taking a B vitamin and wasn't getting any results from it. I put her on a methylated B12, and within days, she saw the difference. There's different types of forms of B12. And the most common one is cyanocobalamin. Cyano is cyanide. Cobalamin is B12. That's the most common. And it's cyanide hooked onto the B12 molecule. I'd rather you do a methylcobalamin, M-Y-T-H-E-L. Methylcobalamin, M-Y-T-H-L-E, I think it is. Methylcobalamin. Methyl is the form that everybody can use. Cyanocobalamin, about 60% of us can't use or can't convert very well. So that's why I recommend a methylcobalamin. And if you go to my website, drjoe.com, Dr. Joe's B complex and Dr. Joe's essential source have methylcobalamin in them. Now, B12 is the only vitamin that B vitamin that we store. We pee out all the other ones. So the B12 is really important. And that's why one of the vitamin supplements I take every day is Dr. Joe's B complex. Because A, I don't get it from animal products, and B, I want to make sure I'm getting a methylated supplement. It's like folate and folic acid. You want to use folate, not folic acid. I'll get to that in a little bit. So Super Green Essential Source, B complex, and vitamin D, that's your starter kit when it comes to supplements. I think everybody should take at least that. Now, we customize protocols. I take about 10 or 15 supplements a day, but I take omega-3 fatty acids for my brain. I take men's hormone support because as I'm getting older, I got to keep my hormones working. I take estrogen regulator, prevent my testosterone from converting into estrogen. So several things I do because I did a customized plan for myself, and I'd love to do a customized plan for you too. But at least Super Green Essential Source B complex and vitamin D All of them are on the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. And by the way, you can always send me questions through the website, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions. I probably get 20, maybe 30 questions a day, and I answer all of them, unless it's a question about the website or something, But I really want to be your doctor, and I'd love to see you in person. We can do virtual meetings. I could just do consulting. I say do it all. When I get my car checked, I want everything checked from, fender to fender, because I want to make sure, bumper to bumper, I want to make sure that everything is taken care of, because when I'm in a car, it's my life I'm dealing with. When I get my doctor checkups, I want all my blood work done. I want an MRI if I need it. I want everything done, because it's a lot easier to fix something before it breaks than after. So, drjoe.com, just make an appointment to come see us. We'd really love to be your doctor. All right, so if you're just tuning in, we're talking about nutritional deficiencies, signs and symptoms that you may have, and then what to do about them, which is very important too. Oh, another thing with B vitamins too is cracks on the side of your lips. You start getting cracks in your lips, and you just can't seem to make them go away. I mean, yeah, it could be dry and you didn't hydrate properly. But if you get chronic cracks, especially in the corners, many times it's a B vitamin deficiency. And something as simple as Dr. Joe's B complex solves the problem. Okay. Now, again, I'm not saying this is the cure for everything, but we're pretty basic. We understand the basics here. All right, I want to talk about calcium because I get this question, I was going to say every day, but that's not true, probably multiple times a day. Where do you get your calcium from if you don't drink milk? Where do you get your protein from if you don't eat meat? Well, we're talking about supplements today. If I have time, I'll cover protein. But calcium, most of us don't need more calcium. Most of us need less acid. Now, let me explain that to you. Foods that are acid, when you put them in your body has to neutralize those acids. And the body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. It uses other nutrients as well. So if you eat acid foods, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, the body is taking calcium to neutralize the acidity of those foods. If you don't have enough calcium in your blood, it's got to go to the bones to neutralize the acid. Because what's more important, losing your bone mass or keeping the blood normal? Keeping the blood normal is more important. So the body sacrifices the calcium built up in the bone. Once it comes out of the bone, it can't be converted and go back in. It's a weird thing that happens. So if you're eating a high-acid diet, you're going to need a lot more calcium. The problem is people take calcium supplements, and most of the commercial calcium supplements are calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the cheap junk version of calcium. It's basically chalk, like you write on a chalkboard with. And calcium carbonate can block up your receptor sites and prevent you from absorbing the good calciums. So if you're going to take a calcium citrate's probably going to be your best bet, but I don't want you taking too much calcium. What you need to do is change your diet so you don't need that much calcium. That's much more important. So cutting out what I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, you're going to reduce your need for calcium. And then if what you are eating is going to have plenty of calcium in it, so calcium is not a supplement that most people need. And some people will actually take antacids or things that control stomach acid as their source of calcium. That's wrong on multiple levels. Number one, it's calcium carbonate. Number two, it has artificial dyes in it. And number three, I don't want to lower my stomach acid. I need my stomach acid to digest my food, specifically proteins. So if you're going to take these things as a calcium source, I would not recommend you do that. And if you do have acid reflux, I want you to fix the cause of the acid reflux and not just treat the symptom, which is what most people do. Had a patient come in the other day, he was in a real bad car accident, and as we're going through our checklist, I always ask about digestion, and he says, yeah, I got horrible acid reflux. He says, and it happened after the accident. Now, he flipped his car multiple times, ended upside down. It was a mess, so I don't know what caused it, but after the accident, maybe the seatbelt pushed his stomach up into his diaphragm. And as we started to pull his stomach down away from the diaphragm, even after his first visit, he says, Doc, I didn't have the acid reflux. Treating the cause, not treating the symptoms. That's why I want to be your doctor. Folks, got to go to break. I see the clock ticking. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer your questions. Give me a second. When you send in a question, I may not be sitting by the computer all day. So give me a little time. I'll get back to you. Follow me on social media. We post on social media every single day. We have a lot of followers, 800,000 followers across all platforms. But I need you to follow us because the more people we have, then we can get the word out more. I want to help people get well, and I need your help. And I'll answer your questions, but there's your cover charge. You got to follow me on social media. Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, the Dr. Joe Esposito. And the podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. So far, so good? Okay. John, anybody have any titillating questions I need to answer for them?
Are the smoke machines at concerts safe?
Probably. That's just dry ice. I don't think it's really that big a deal. The biggest concern I have with concerts is the noise. I was a 70s baby, in the 70s high school and 80s college. And so we went to a lot of discos and we went to a lot of concerts. And not long after that, I had a doctor, well, not long ago, I should say, had a doctor just test my hearing just for fun. And she said, you're missing certain tones. And she goes, did you listen to a lot of loud music? And I said, yeah, I did. And she goes, those are the tones you lose. So, yeah, the noises I'm more worried about than the smoke machine. So, what else?
Should I drink hemp milk?
Sure, if you want to. Nothing wrong with that. Hemp, chia seed, soy, almond, coconut, they're all good. But hemp milk is great. Hemp milk has a little omega-3s in it. Eating the hemp seeds is even better still. So you could just get some hemp seeds, put them on your salad, put them in your soups. They work really well. And they taste nice, too. They have a really nice flavor to them. What else you got?
What are your favorite flavorings for black beans and vegetable soup?
Well, salt and pepper really is going to be my favorites if I had to pick them. Celtic sea salt. Pepper, I use an organic black pepper. You can use red pepper as well. It's a vasodilator. Opens up the blood vessels. Garlic is great. And I like spicy foods. So I'll throw some hot sauces in there as well. And most hot sauces are just peppers and vinegar, so it's really not that big a deal. It's not bad. Yeah, but if I have beans, I like them spicy. So I'll add the hot sauces, and like the first bite is a little bit, and second bite, my mouth's watering. Second bite will be a little more, third bite a little more. And the peppers are great. They're vasodilators, and that helps increase circulation, and it opens up the blood vessels. So that's how I do it. Certainly not ham. So ham or pork or bacon, I don't do that. So no need for it. What else you got?
Is hot sauce okay?
Yes, absolutely. As long as it's just basically vinegar and peppers, that's usually what a good hot sauce is. If it has a bunch of sulfites and stuff in it, I'd say no. But yeah, vinegar and pepper, I'm no problem with that. So, what else you got?
Do you have a quick tomato soup recipe? Do I start by just cutting up a tomato and boiling it?
Yeah, tomato soup you can basically do, again, salt and pepper. If you want to, it depends what you like. If you want to like a Campbell's tomato soup, I don't know how to do that. But you can take a lot of tomatoes and add some celery to it because celery is high in things like sodium, which give it flavor. You can add carrots to it if you want to. Onions might be good. And then just throw a lot of tomatoes in there, cook them up, and then you can put them in a Vitamix or something like that and puree it. If you want to make it thicker, you can add some hemp milk or coconut milk or soy milk. And that's a real simple, easy liquid tomato soup. If you want chunky tomato soup, then just don't purify it. Don't liquefy it. So that's real easy. And do organic tomatoes too. What else?
What is it called when you have fluid build up behind your knee?
Baker's cyst is, I think, what you're trying to ask about. That's probably a Baker's cyst. And so we can do a thing like acoustic wave therapy on it, and it really sends impulses into the joint. We've broken up several Baker's cysts, and I'd say try that first before you consider surgery, because this is a natural, non-invasive, very inexpensive way of doing it. So I assume that's what you're talking about, and that would be the way to go. So, what else?
That is all.
All right. Cool beans. Ha. I said beans. See that? Okay. Keep my vocal cords moist with my slippery elm tea. All right. Where were we? Calcium. Yes. Okay. Ready to go. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you stayed with me, thank you. If you just joined me, welcome. Glad you could be here. So we're talking today about nutritional deficiencies and signs and symptoms that you may have that may be leading to this. Now, all of these symptoms can be coming from something else. This is just a general rule. So we started talking about calcium, but muscle cramps, spasms, brittle bones, you fracture easily, numbness and tingling in your fingers and toes, poor tooth health, osteopenia or osteoporosis. Osteopenia is the early stages of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is thinning of the bones. Osteoarthritis is when the joints wear out. So some people come in and say, Doc, I have osteoporosis, and they meant osteoarthritis or vice versa. So patients come in, Doc, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia, and my doctor said, Take calcium, right? Well, I'll give you an analogy on that. I want you to make a cake. And here's flour. Go make the cake. What do you say to me? I can't make a cake with just flour. It's mostly flour, but I have to add other things to it. I have to have baking powder, baking soda, maybe an egg. Again, I don't eat eggs. Some type of liquid, maybe some type of fat, butter, oil. And I need a little salt, maybe vanilla. I need all of that to make the cake. Although it's just a little tiny bit of everything else, most of it's flour. You can't build a cake with just flour. You can't build bones with just calcium. It doesn't work. I've been in practice 40 years. I've seen a lot of people with osteoporosis. 0 of those patients have ever reversed osteoporosis by taking calcium. That's it. It's very simple. Now, calcium's part of it, but calcium, boron, silica, you need vitamin D3 with K2, reduce your acid levels. So there's multiple things you need to do to build up the bones. Put stress on the joint, okay? When bones, it's called Wolff's Law. When stress is applied to a bone, it makes the bone healthier and stronger. Had a patient call into one of my shows the other day, and he said his mother has a rare form of paralysis, and her bones are wasting away because she's not using them. When astronauts go into space, for long periods of time, they have to worry about osteoporosis because they're not putting stress on the bones, and the bones can become weak. So putting stress on the bones, when I say stress, standing, walking, weightlifting. You don't have to, bench press 1,000 pounds. Do something simple. Maybe just take a can of soup or something like that and use it as a weight to build up your biceps and your triceps and do squats. I do squats every day. And I try to do about 100 squats a day. But I don't do them all at once. So what do? I'll wake up and I'll do 10 or 15 squats just to wake me up in the morning. Some people do coffee. If you do 10 or 15 squats, you're going to start to wake up. You can do them in the shower. You can do them while you're brushing your teeth. You got 2 minutes with the electric toothbrush on your teeth. How many squats can you do? I can do 50. That's a lot. And I'm puffing, but I can do 50. And again, you don't have to use any weights or anything. Just squat down. So if I do 50, I say, okay, well, I now got to get another 50, and how am I going to do that? Well, let's do 10 here. Let's do 10 there and build it up. And if you could do 100 squats a day, and even if you do one at a time, if you could do 50 squats a day, if you could do 10 squats a day, that's a lot of building up muscle mass in your lower body, your legs, your butt, your hips, solidifies and locks in that low back, so the low back is less likely to come out of place. So little things like that, we call them exercise snacks. I'm not going to do a whole workout. I'm just going to do 10 squats. Even if you just bend your arms and put your hands above your head and like you're doing a tricep workout, even if you use no weights, that's okay. Just keep the body in motion, and that's going to help tremendously. So what might be some issues? Well, you have a bad diet. You're eating a lot of acid. You're not getting enough calcium. What would be a good source of calcium? Kale, bok choy, broccoli, almonds. Now, you can do fortified milks, even plant milk, but it's usually a calcium carbonate that they use. So not a good idea. So calcium's tricky because everybody thinks they need more calcium. In most cases, you don't, which is nice. Okay? It's kind of like protein. Well, doc, I need more protein. Why? Well, I don't know. I got to build muscle. You don't build muscle by eating protein. You build muscle by putting stress on the muscle, by using it. I mean, look at gorillas. Many gorillas eat totally a plant-based diet. Look at all the muscles they have. Look at elephants. Look at rhinoceroses. Look at giraffes. They don't eat any extra protein. They eat all plants. And look at how much muscle they have. And they have the longest lives. Look at tortoises who live the longest of all the animals. They only eat plants. So animal protein, shortest lives, and higher risk of disease, especially with humans. More plant-based protein, longer life in most cases, and lower risk of disease. So why would you do the other one? There's only one reason why people do bad foods. Tastes good. Well, cheap might be under there too. But a lot of the bad foods are subsidized by the government. Meats, sugars, high fructose corn syrup. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not making this a political statement, but that's why it's so cheap. How much would it cost if there weren't government subsidies for soybeans to feed the cows or high fructose corn syrup? So you can have a choice. You can decide whatever you want to do, whatever you eat. But eating a plant-based diet is really inexpensive. You can make a very good, healthy salad with a can of organic chickpeas. Big serving, $2, maybe $3. So it's not hard to build a healthy diet, and it's really a lot less expensive too. which is kind of cool. And you're more likely to get the nutrients that we're talking about today because everything we're talking about is found in plants. I mean, where do you think an animal gets iron from? Gets it from the plants. Where do they get calcium from? Gets it from the plants. Animals don't produce these vitamins and minerals. They just recycle them, basically. It's kind of a waste station for you. So with calcium, muscle cramps, like we said, that could be an issue. But it also could be a magnesium issue. If you're magnesium deficient, most of us are, by the way, magnesium, muscle cramps, restlessness, insomnia, anxiety, irritability, high blood pressure, abnormal heart rate, all of these things can come from magnesium deficiency. Magnesium does over 300 things in the body. It's very important, and it works very well. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. Why? You don't eat enough plants. So you can get things like chia seeds, green leafy vegetables, avocados, black beans, pumpkin seeds, and a lot of people don't eat pumpkin seeds. My uncle Skater used to eat pumpkin seeds. I always thought that was weird as a kid. So you can get your magnesium from food, which is fine. Now, if you're going to take a magnesium supplement, I just got to warn you. If you take magnesium citrate, you're going to get loose stools. It's what we make milk of magnesia out of. So don't take magnesium citrate. Magnesium glycinate maybe would be a good one, but usually there's different types of magnesium. I think there's 8 different types. So you can take one that has multiple types of magnesium in it. The best thing is going to have a good diet. We have magnesium in Dr. Joe's Essential Source as well. The best thing is to have a good diet, and then you don't need as many supplements. But I think about this. I take 10, 15 supplements a day. I eat a really good diet. And I did my analysis. These are the things I have to add because I can't get enough from my food. And also because I'm vegan, again, I have to eat, B12. Again, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to go plant-based. Just suggesting this is what I do. And so even eating a good diet, I still take supplements. I can't imagine if I ate a bad diet, how many supplements I'd have to take. And I don't want you to survive. I want you to thrive. I want you to do so much better than you are right now when it comes to health. And that's not hard. Normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. That's it. There's your plan. You may have insurance, but that's not a healthcare plan. Healthcare plan is action steps. They call it healthcare plan. It's not a healthcare plan. It's insurance. So what are your action steps? What are you doing today? Can you have a salad every day? Can you start adding avocados or nuts or seeds to your diet? If you have acid reflux, can you come see us so we can maybe pull that stomach away from the diaphragm? If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, that's telling you something's wrong. And here's the thing. I tell people this all the time, including I just had a friend of mine who's a pain management doctor come in, and I worked on his shoulder, and he thought it was like a miracle. And he's a professional bodybuilder. And he sent 2 of his bodybuilder friends in saying, you got to get this guy to work on your shoulders. It's amazing. So I tell him these things, and they say, I didn't know that. I had no idea. And one of the things I say is that 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You don't feel your blood pressure, your spleen, your kidneys, your thyroid, your prostate. And they say, I never thought of it like that before. You're right. The autonomic nervous system, we call it. I don't feel these things, but they're controlled by nerves. Well, of course, everything's controlled by nerves. So you can have a pinched or damaged nerve and not know it. And that could be controlling an organ. So that's why in my office, we check the nerves that feel pain and we check the nerves that don't feel pain. And the third concern I have if bones are out of place, pinching nerves, is that the joints will rub up against each other and wear out, and you'll get arthritis. Now, how many of you have arthritis? Raise your hands. A lot of you do. I know you do. And I ask everybody, and for 40 years, no one's ever answered the question right. I said, did anyone ever tell you why you have arthritis? Aside from me. No. I just took an x-ray. I have degenerative arthritis, DJD, spondylosis, all the same thing. And my discs are wearing out, my shoulders wearing out, my hips wearing out, my knees wearing out. Nobody ever told you why. Isn't that amazing? If my tires are out of alignment and they're wearing out, they say, well, listen, the car's out of alignment, and that's why your tires are wearing out. Right? Nobody talks about your own body. Why is it wearing out? Osteoarthritis is mechanical. Something's out of place, wearing out. And you can take all the calcium and all the magnesium and all the iron and all the other supplements and super greens and essential source and vitamin D. If the joints are out of alignment, you got to put them back in alignment. It's just that simple. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, come see us. The Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. I want to be your doctor. I want to get to the cause of your healthcare problems. And with pain, many times it's a bone out of place. Maybe we have to use something called acoustic wave therapy. sends really fast impulses into the joint, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation, recruits stem cells into the area. Maybe you have to use cold laser. Cold laser sends light beams into the mitochondria and kind of plugs in the cells to make them work better. So let's put together a protocol specifically for you. Maybe you're not a case for our office. Maybe we need to send you out to one of my colleagues who I trust. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. I'd love to see you as a patient. Let's find out what's going on. It goes for children. It goes for seniors, everybody. We see a lot of children in our office, even as young as the earliest I ever adjusted somebody was fresh out of the womb. I was in the delivery room, wiped her off. Her atlas was out of place. I just gently pushed her atlas back in place. So go to my website, drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $940. We've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Usually $940. Why do we do that? I do it because I want to find out what's going to be best for you. And we accept most insurances too. So drjoe.com. If you don't have insurance, it's still the most effective, least expensive treatment for pain. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, orthopedic surgeon, and he says sometimes the copays are more expensive than the treatment. I said, yeah, it's ridiculous. Don't let insurance dictate your life. I've had patients already, well, the insurance won't pay for it, I'm not going to do it. Whether it's dental or chiropractic or orthopedic, neurological, it's your life. Don't let the insurance company drive you to a grave. They don't care when you die. I do. So drjoe.com, make your appointments. I'd love to see you as soon as possible, actually. So we're talking today about nutritional deficiencies and some symptoms you might have. We talked about magnesium because it's so prevalent. And magnesium glycinate is probably your best bet, but just eat more green leafy vegetables. Have a salad every day. Make sure you're having your avocados when you can. Black beans, chia seeds. That's a new trend now, chia seeds, right? They put chia seeds in some plant-based milk, put in the refrigerator overnight, eat it the next day. I've been teaching this for 40 years. Suddenly TikTok caught on to it. They're on to me. They're stealing all my ideas. Let's talk about vitamin A. Vitamin A, night blindness, dry skin, dry eyes, increased susceptibility to infections, wounds don't heal properly. So now you can take a vitamin A supplement. It can even cause growth impairments in children. But I'd rather you take something called beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is the precursor, the building block to vitamin A. If I take a vitamin A supplement, it can become toxic. If I take beta-carotene, it's not toxic. So anything orange is going to have beta-carotene in it. Carrots, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, mangoes, bell peppers, red bell peppers have it as well. So do yellow. And vitamin A, I'd rather you get it in a beta-carotene form. So when you take Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we have vitamin A as beta-carotene in there. So the beta-carotene is going to cause liver toxicity. But once again, where are we getting it from? We're getting it from plants. Have a salad. Have some fruit. Typical day of my life. Oh, if you don't know what to eat, I'll just tell you. Go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Type in, so what can I eat? And I give you about 45 minutes of a day in a life. Breakfast, lunches, dinner, snacks, going to restaurants, raising kids, Christmas. It's all covered there. And by the way, our website has about 4,000 hours of content on it. And the cost to access all of it is free. I don't charge anything to go to my website and search it. Why would I do that? Why do we charge $299 for our first visit? I like what I do. 40 years, I love seeing patients, man. People say, when are you going to retire? I said, I don't understand what that means. It's like a word foreign to me. I get excited every single day helping people get well and stay well. Why would I want to stop that? It's my favorite hobby. So you can search the website. If you have any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. Just type in, it'll say, hey, you want to chat, or go to the bottom. It says contact us. I probably, like I said, get 20 or 30 questions a day. I answer them all for you. Happy to answer your questions, drjoe.com. And please follow me on social media because we post every single day. And I will answer your questions, and I'll give you all this information. I'll give you my radio shows, my podcast, my website. I'll give you all that. One thing I ask in return. Follow me on social media. That's it. If you don't like it, unfollow me. Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. The Dr. Joe Esposito on Facebook. Just go ahead. Hit follow. That's all I ask. I don't think that's unreasonable. My father always taught me, always be the one who's more reasonable than everybody else. And that's what we do. I mentioned earlier about iodine. Now, iodine is necessary for your thyroid gland to work properly, but iodine is necessary for all the cells to work properly. Now, iodine, your thyroid gland produces T3 and T4. And the letter T is thyroid, and 3 or 4 tells you how many molecules of iodine are attached to that hormone. Now, you produce T3, T4 converts into T3. T3 is the active form of thyroid hormone. And it converts in the liver. So you have to have enough iodine, and you have to have a healthy liver. Everything's connected. There is nothing in healthcare that's independent. Nothing happens by itself. And I think that's where we start to get a little lost. The cardiologists don't talk to the hematologist, and the hematologist may not talk to the nephrologist, and nephrologists don't talk to the neurologist, neurologists don't talk to your orthopedist. They may refer and send out some records, but I look at the body as a whole. Everything relies on something else, and so that's why we try to get you a good diet, nervous system working, digestive system working. That's the healthcare plan I want you to consider. So beta-carotene, again, orange foods. Iodine, where do we get iodine from? Seaweed, cranberries, potatoes, only if you eat the skin, and organic is going to be better, and prunes. Odd sources of iodine, aren't there? So seaweed is probably going to be your best source. How many of us eat seaweed every day? I'm going to venture to say very few. So when I was creating Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, I thought, how can I put everything I can in one place? I want to make it quick, easy, and cheap, and make it taste good. And so we created Essential Source and Super Greens. We add sea vegetables to both of them. So there's iodine in both of them, because every cell in the body needs iodine. So you might have an enlarged thyroid. You might be gaining weight. You might be tired. You might have depression, dry skin, hair loss. All of these could be, not necessarily are, but could be related to iodine deficiencies. And so that's why I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day, because it's a great source of iodine. And what we found, whoever we were, a long time ago, we said people in the Midwest were starting to develop goiters, big fat thyroid glands. Why was that? Well, they weren't anywhere near the ocean, so they weren't getting any iodine. Seafood has iodine in it as well, but I don't recommend you eat fish because of mercury and lead and other issues. But people that were eating, at the time, it was a lot cleaner, food from the sea got iodine. Inland, not enough iodine, goiters came out. So somebody smarter than me said, how can we get iodine into something that everybody uses? And they came up with salt. And that's why you hear about iodized salt. That's it. But it's not a good source of iodine, and you shouldn't be using table salt anyway. You should be using Celtic or air-dried sea salt, which doesn't have a lot of iodine in it. So that's why I recommend Super Greens and Essential Source as a great source of iodine. Or you want to eat a lot of seaweed, which most of us don't. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about nutritional deficiencies that we have, signs and symptoms, and how to easily fix them. Another one we have, I want to talk about folate and folic acid. Folic acid is everywhere. When you see something fortified, it's usually fortified with folic acid. Folic acid has to be converted into folate. Depending on the study you read, 60%, maybe more of us can't convert folic acid into folate. So we don't get enough vitamin B9. So we might have fatigue, mouth ulcers, diarrhea, irritability, increased risk of neural tube defects. That's in babies, of course. The spinal cord doesn't form properly. So I'm not a fan of folic acid. I am a fan of folate. So that's why you want to take folate, or these vitamins like B12 that have already been methylated and easy for use. And so Dr. Joe's B Complex and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, have folate, not folic acid. So if you ever see the word enriched, you probably want to run away from it. Either they took all the nutrients out and added some junk back in, or it was just junk to begin with. So I don't like the word enriched. But how many of us have irritability, mouth ulcers, digestive issues? It could be because you're not able to convert folic acid into folate. And that's why I recommend it. So where do we get that from? Hey, you're going to be surprised. It comes from things like lentils, asparagus, spinach, orange, sunflower seeds. The same things I've been telling you eat for 40 years. Another reason to eat right. If you don't know what to eat, again, go to my website, drjoe.com. Just type in, so what can I eat? And we just talk about diet in that one. Nothing else. It's all just, this is a day in a life. What does a day in a life look like? The first book I ever wrote, Eating Right for the Health of It. People kept coming to me saying, what should I eat? What should I eat? So I wrote a book on it. And it has over 200 recipes in it. And it's breakfast, lunches, dinners, and snacks, and desserts, and all sorts of fun stuff. Soup, salad dressings. Because I wanted to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible. And we have hard copy. We also have a digital version of as well. But start venturing out into this world. Start looking, what can I do to make my body better? If I have pain, go to a chiropractor. If I have digestive system, maybe come see us because we're really good at that. And maybe you do need a gastroenterologist. Maybe you do need a pain management doctor, an orthopedist, or a neurologist. But let's start most effective, least expensive. Let's start there and see how we do. I think that's a pretty good business model. All right, potassium is another one a lot of us are deficient in. Muscle weakness, fatigue, abnormal heart rate, constipation, high blood pressure. So where do we get potassium from? Bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, beans, coconut water. And a lot of people are deficient. But if we have a kidney issue, you might have to limit your amount of foods high in potassium. So it really depends. The kidneys are very important. And so see how everything's related? I had a patient. Her name is Connie. She still comes see us. And Connie came to me a couple of years ago, and she said, Dr. Joe, I have 28% kidney function. I'm going to die. I will do whatever you tell me to do because I'm going to die. And the doctors have told me I'm going to die. And she was very hung up on those words, I'm going to die. So we got her on plant-based protein, got her off the animal protein, balanced out her nutrients, got her on things like Super Greens and Essential Source. There's a special supplement I got for her from another company. It was called Rena-Food, but that name's not important. And a couple of months later, I get a phone call, and my staff says, it's Connie. She's on the phone. It's an emergency. And I've told this story before, but a lot of you don't know this. And I said, uh-oh, something's wrong. Her kidneys failed. I pick up the phone. She goes, my kidney function's 52%. Goodbye. And hung up the phone. And she still comes in, and she still laughs about that phone call. And she said, I'd be dead if it wasn't for you. Whatever you did, the other doctors didn't tell me to do these things. And I'm not picking on my other doctor friends. Please, I don't understand what they do. We need to work together as a team. And that's why so many doctors send their friends, send themselves, send their family, send their patients to us to co-manage their case. Wouldn't you like to have that kind of treatment in your life? Wouldn't you like to go to a doctor who actually takes care of you, actually tries to get to the cause of the problem? So make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. All the supplements we talk about, Super Green, Essential Source, B vitamins, vitamin D, nitric oxide, opens up your blood vessels. Oh my gosh, nitric oxide, most of us are deficient in nitric oxide. I take a nitric oxide supplement every day. Brain function, blood pressure dropping, supply to your sex organs, your muscles, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your spleen. You're going to get older. Nitric oxide levels are going to drop. Take your nitric oxide supplements. Don't take it if you have low blood pressure. Email me if you have low blood pressure. I'll tell you what to do. Folks, I got so much more to cover, and I just don't have time. If you have any questions, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com. Every time I do a show, I put it together probably enough content for about 8 shows, and I do one. So I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you sharing all this information with your friends. How many lives can we save today? Probably a lot. So follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. The podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. We do 2 podcasts a week. And send me your questions. All the supplements are on the website. Make an appointment to come see us. We accept most insurances. Let's get you well and keep you well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bam. So, you have new questions for me?
Should I add garlic powder and an avocado to my black beans?
Yes, absolutely. What a great combination. That's awesome. What else? Poor John. Make him work through these whole shows.
Is snow ice cream okay? The only flavorings I use are vanilla and honey.
If it's just shaved ice like that, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not the biggest fan of honey, but I'm going to cut you some slack. I say do 80% of what I say, 20% I'll let you cheat. So, what else? John's got tons of questions here.
What vitamins are good for thinning hair?
Well, Super Green's an essential source. Again, a lot of it is hormones. I mean, I'm getting thinning hair, but you do want to always check your thyroid because the thyroid gland could be an issue. So we can do a thyroid test with you if you come to our office, and we can see if the thyroid is involved. 'Cause if that's the issue, we have to go in a different direction. So, what else?
What are your favorite lunch and dinner ideas?
Oh, gosh. I bring my lunch almost every day to work. For breakfast, I have my supplements, Super Green Essential Source, nitric oxide B complex, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, men's hormone support, estrogen regulator. I take a turmeric every day as well. And so then I get hungry, so I have some fruit. So I'll do that first thing in the morning, then I'll go shower, get ready for work. And usually I'm a little hungry by then. And so I'll have something else, usually a handful of nuts, almonds, pecans, pistachios, seeds. And then I bring my lunch. Lunch is almost always a salad. I'd say 95% of the time it's salad. Now, it could be a tomato salad. It could be a cucumber salad. It could be a lettuce salad. It could be a salad, and I just have a can of chickpeas, and I'll throw a can of organic chickpeas in there. And then I'll put apple cider vinegar and organic olive oil on it, salt and pepper, and some oregano. So I try to have a salad every day, and then the salad doesn't always hold me over, so I'll have something aside from that. Maybe some beans. And if I take beans, I'll add a little apple cider vinegar to it. I make a lot of soup, so I'll usually have a soup. So I have a soup and salad, beans and salad, something along those lines, quinoa maybe. And then for dinner, it really depends. Like yesterday, I went to the Atlanta Dogwood Festival, walked around. And so my buddy and I drove back, and I wanted to get home and shower before I went to work. I had to do a radio show last night. And so we stopped at a place called Kava. And Kava, I had vegetables and rice and lentils and salad and everything like that. And I was fine. I was full. So if I go out to dinner, I always, of course, eat the plant-based choice. A lot of people take me out to dinner. And they always want to take me to a steakhouse. And I don't know why. Because I'd much rather have, I always say, I joke, I'd rather have strip mall Chinese than a fancy steakhouse. But I just look at the plant-based options. And usually, most good restaurants now have at least one plant-based option. Cauliflower steaks, or, I had tofu and Brussels sprouts the other day at a steakhouse. So if you go to my website, drjoe.com, and just type in, so what can I eat? We kind of lay out, these are options that might be good for you too. So those are my favorite foods. I can't think of a favorite food. I love all food. So, what else you got?
What do you eat when you go out for Mexican?
I check for the beans to make sure they don't have lard in them. First rule. I like refried beans, but sometimes if they have lard, I'll have the black beans, which usually don't. Many times I just get side orders. I'll get a side order of beans. I'll get the guacamole. I'll get the pico de gallo with the lettuce on it. And then I'll kind of stack it, put a little salsa on there, and I'll just eat it that way. And it's wonderful. It's like a 3-bean salad, a 3 or 5 layer dip, and I'll just eat it with a fork, which is fine with me. Now, the rice, many times they'll use chicken broth in it, so I got to check with that. And if you're going to eat chips, and I wish you wouldn't, they're one of the worst things you can do in your life, but I'm also a realist. The rule is 6 chips. That's it. Most you can do is 6 chips. You can do it with salsa. You can do it as your dip. I don't care how you do it. 6 chip max. Now, I don't want you to ever eat them. But if you eat them, at least do that. Because your chips are just genetically modified corn. They're fried. They create acrylamides. They're fried in polyunsaturated fats, which creates free radicals in the body, and it's seed oils. And I mean, there's nothing good about a chip except the flavor. So please try to avoid that the best you can. But basically, I look at all the plant-based options, and I just stack it up. Sometimes I'll do veggie fajitas. Now, again, they're not using great oils. I'm sure they're not using organic extra virgin olive oil. But I'll do the fajitas, and I'll have the veggies and the beans and the guacamole and the salsa and the pico de gallo and the lettuce, and I'll kind of mix it all together, and I'll eat that too. So that's another option as well. What else?
Which foods should I cook on my grill?
None. If you put grill marks, especially on animal products, you're going to create heterocyclic amines. Heterocyclic amines are those grill marks that are carcinogenic, and if you're cooking meat on a grill, the smell that comes off, those are called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and those are also carcinogenic. So I don't recommend to grill because it's so hot. Now, if you're going to do grill stuff, you want to grill the vegetables because they don't create those heterocyclic amines as much as the animal protein. It's usually the protein that does it. So I wouldn't recommend to grill. And also with the grill, the gas is whatever you're cooking on, whether it's charcoal, those chemicals are getting right into the food. Even the gas is getting directly into the food if you're using a gas grill. So if you cook on a pot, the gas isn't touching the food, it's touching the pot. So I'm not a fan of grills. But if you have to do grills, plants only. I would never do meat on a grill. Oh my God, it's like eating cancer. So, what else?
That is all.
Thanks, guys. What's your homework? Send me a question through the website. Follow me on social media. And I will hopefully answer your questions or see you this week. And if not, I'll see you next week for the next podcast. Thanks, guys.